Hello guys, Settle with Chief. Welcome to another video. Please, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the channel, the video, to share to more people, um, and leave your comments, guys. So today's video, the title is "The Evil One's Deep." The evil one's very, very deep, and we're talking about narcissism. Okay, we're talking about narcissistic abuse and how far the devil will go to destroy us and our loved ones, guys. Um, so yesterday, my youngest daughter came to me. She's 16, and she started revealing certain things to me. It was after church, and it was tied in with people that I had trusted myself, and I trusted to be around her. That I had picked up for church, had dropped off at home, had even invited to her birthday party. And well, I didn't invite, but I picked up to take to her birthday party. Like, and it was just like really shocking for me because I didn't expect it from people that were almost like my own kids, like, but this thing runs deep, guys. That's all I could say. And now, well, first and foremost, we know what the Bible says, that the enemy comes to kill, to steal, and destroy. The Bible also says that, in the last days that people will be lovers of money, lovers of themselves, and people will be very wicked, and the Bible says that because of the increase of lawlessness, that the hearts of people will grow cold. And that's exactly what it is, lawlessness. People willing to use other people as supply, willing, like, not caring whose head that they step on. They do not care whose head that they step on to get ahead, as long as they get ahead. They don't care who they squash, who they use, who they manipulate. And it is so sad, and it's so kind of depressing, but it is what it is. And when when you're talking about even kids learning that narcissism, and a lot of them, because of the people that they're around, the household that they're around, learning that manipulation is the way that they can get ahead, to oppress others, because they don't have any empathy for other people, because they they're learning to use people, and the music industry, the entertainment industry is not helping, because it's propagating a lot of that culture, you know, that demonic culture, you know. And so anyway, I don't want to go too much on a tangent. So she was talking about how, because the other day I'd asked her why she blocked two of her friends. One is her male friend, and the other one is a female friend, and they're both church members. And I was like, why would you block them? Like I don't understand. Because I said, oh, I haven't been seeing her in church for a while. Like, like, is she okay? And she's like, she's fine, she's fine. And I'm like, so, like, and then she's like, I blocked her, and I'm like, why? It kind of like caught me off guard, because, and I felt like she was keeping something from me. And she's like, because I just had to. It was just, it was just what was best, and I do teach my children to set boundaries. I separated from my ex about 2.5 years ago. He was a narcissist, and I set boundaries. I'm setting boundaries. Both my parents are narcissists. I just realized my dad is the enabler. He's always been an enabler. He's a gift giver, and I set boundaries. I blocked my mother, and I do not call my dad. I've put that boundary. He was the one that would help me with bills and all kind of stuff and everything. But I didn't know that he was using that as a means to keep me close, and it was a means to keep me codependent, so that I would not fulfill destiny. I would not reach higher. I would be in my comfort zone. So going back to my daughter, she was talking about how, um, and she was asking me, Mom, can you heal in the same place that you were broken? And I'm like, no, you can't, because I was the one that told her that. And she's like, okay, okay. And then she went in her room, and then she came back in my room, you know, and I'm like, sit down, talk to me. What's going on? And then so I know she was reluctant because she didn't know exactly how much to tell me, because she knew that like I was also part of, you know, like we were all like entangled in this mess. Like, so I understand why she was trying, like she was pulling away and not really wanting to, because the people that she blocked, I would bring them to church. I would bring them to Bible study. Like the boy, I would pick him up, for, and they're not in the same school, but like somehow they met each other, maybe at some function or game or whatever, and she would go to her friends' moms, her stepmom, to do her hair, because my daughter does hair. I do hair as well, but my daughter also has a talent, and stuff. So I would drop her off, to do the hair, and then pick her back up and everything. And I knew that her friends' family were kind of like narcissistic and stuff. Like certain things that I would hear would be like, oh, like red flag, like you have to be careful and stuff. But I didn't know that that friend was. So I knew that that friend would be codependent because of the family that she was raised in, and and then she was telling me how like that friend was so male centered, and like and like from now on, like she doesn't want to hang around anybody that is too male centered, because and and because they will end up being narcissistic. You know what I'm saying? Like they will end up doing anything to just to have that attention, because of like what they're lacking in their soul or in at home, whatever it is, and she's like, I don't ever want to be like that. So she, and then going over to the boy, because she was friends with both. They both did, they even did like a performance together. Like they were all part of like the dancing and doing all that stuff. Like they were all part of the praise dance and then Bible study. They're all in the same Bible study group. So it was just like, so she was started like unwrapping everything for me, telling me how she kind of liked him, even though like they were all friends or whatever. She kind of like liked him, and she was getting like more of a like feelings or whatever, for him, and they're all teenagers, like all 16-year olds, and how she would tell her friend, who was also like her best friend and everything, and how she was starting to catch feelings or whatever for him. And then it's like all of a sudden she was like, she would like ask him like, oh, okay, so you're telling me all these things, you're making me feel a certain way, what are we like, what are we doing? And he was like, we're just friends. Like, what do you mean? Gaslighting. And I'm like, wow, okay. And I'm like, I guess I never thought of him to be that kind of thing, but you never know. you know Thank God she opened up to me. And he was like, what do you mean? And then he started telling her like this one that he really really likes, you know after trying to make her feel like he likes her, but then he really doesn't. It's like that push pull. That's a narcissism. That push pull. They give you like a little bit of sprinkle of, what do they call it, breadcrumbing, and then they pull you back in, and then it makes you want it more. You know and then and then they yank that rug right from under you and say like, well, I like somebody else. And then she was like, who? And then so she was asking around or whatever, and then finally she found out that it was her best friend. So, and we know that he did that on purpose, because it's like, why would you do that? And then she was like, immediately that one jumped to start dating him. Didn't Not even considering her friends' feelings, and they're all friends, and they're it's like, I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah. So they were dating. I had no idea that they were dating. I had no idea of any of the things that were happening. I just saw them all as like kids, and you know, my kids' friends, and children of God. Maybe I was naive. And because you see the narcissism like in adults, and you see it in your parents and stuff, but you see it like to actually see it in the kids, and actually see that the kids, it's also being interwoven into like their DNA. It's like scary to me. And so she told me that like they started dating, like they would spend hours on the phone, and like they started like kind of like ostracizing or like putting her to the side. And she was like, wow. Like she's like, Mom, I just know what not to do now. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, and so yeah, and it was just really sad, and all the mind games and manipulation, and and just like just so it was, to me it was just like really really sad because it's like people that I kind of like brought close, and and the church environment is supposed to be like a safe place, but there's no safe place, and that's one thing that we have to understand, that there is no safe place, and then she would tell me like, there's a lady that was supposed to be like, I guess you know, the ones that like was close to the kids. I don't know if she's a teacher. I don't know what she is, but she was like, when they were doing like one of the praise dances, like she kept telling her like, comparing her with her friend, and saying like, dance like her, like you should do this like her. Why aren't you walking like? Why aren't you doing that? And I'm like, that's triangulation. Why should you do that? If you're gonna teach, walk this way. If you're waving the flag, or you whatever, do it this way. You should not never compare anybody to anybody else, because we all do things differently. So I was a little bit like, and she's like, oh, she's a child's teacher, right? My daughter just telling me now that she's a child's teacher, and so it's like, but we know that the devil, he's like, he's hiding in plain sight. She just told me right now, and it's like, why would like a 40-year-old that should know better be doing that? And then it even goes deeper. She told me that because I didn't know that those two were dating. Those her two best friends were dating, but she, you know, and then so now everything makes sense. Like why she blocked them like a time ago. She blocked him some time ago, and then she unblocked him. And I was like, oh, like I haven't seen him in the church for a while. Like like, and I was feeling kind of like guilty, like I should go pick him up or whatever. And she's like, oh, that she blocked him, and it was like, why, like But now I know, you know. And then she's like, there's certain things that like, because they were best friends, that he would reveal to her and tell her like not to tell her friend, that if she tells her friend that he would kill himself, that he would do this to himself. And so she'd be like, no, I can't tell her because I don't want anything to happen to him. I'm like, that's manipulation. Like knowing that they're close. And then she was telling me like some time ago that she asked him to like put together a playlist for her, and all the songs were all like about manipulating, how you can talk to a girl and then friend her friend, or date her friend, and all that like butting heads and all that satanic stuff. And she was like, looking back, she could see that that's exactly what he was doing. Like it was playing out like in real time, and it was just like so sad, like just seeing like. And then the part that really really like was more upsetting for me, more than like the kids doing all that stuff, was um the fact that this woman that was the child's teacher would um triangulate my child, and then knowing that those two were dating that I didn't even know, she would like take them out to like a restaurant or whatever, and like tell my daughter that she would drop her off, and then when she would drop her off, like she'll be in the car with the other girl, my daughter's friend, ex-friend or whatever, and then she would not tell her like, watch out because them two are close, like she and like, even though that they were all friends, and I guess these two are now dating, like. And then she was like, like, don't let my daughter to, like telling her friend not to let my daughter get too close to her man, because they're looking like they're dating too, like putting like ideas in her head, like very demonic. And it's like, this is a child teacher at the church. Like someone like in her 40s, like, you know, I'm just, I just couldn't like imagine, like, how could someone do this? Like, how would she, just. And then her friend would tell her like, oh, this is what this lady's saying, and I'm like, wow, all this was going on and I didn't even know all this. And I want you all to, I'm putting this out here to just raise awareness about narcissism. Okay, it's in every fabric of society. Like the evil, it's so deep. Okay, and we just really really have to open up our eyes. And it's like, There's certain things that you won't know unless the Holy Spirit revealed it to you. So we have to be close to God, and we have to really honor and really seek the help of the Holy Spirit. He says, "My sheep hear my voice," and one thing that did make me happy, even though like it was really downing and depressing, like hearing all that stuff, because you, as a parent, you want to protect your child and your children, but it's like the only way that we can protect them is by revealing the truth to them, And I remember when I separated from their dad at first, like they were all like, you know, even though he was a narcissist, it was kind of like a sad time because, obviously, most people, children want their parents together, but if it's toxic, then they have to separate or whatever. And before I separated from him, I was watching a lot of like videos on narcissism. It was actually the narcissism videos and things that revealed like a lot of the things I was going through. He was doing it to me, you know. And then more recently, I realized my parents were also narcissists, and actually they groomed me to be abused by a narcissist and to be codependent with a narcissist. And it was just like it just all like it all makes sense now, And it's just like the fact that it's affecting the children is sad. But like I said, we can't really protect them from life. But what we can do is expose the truth, expose the darkness. Okay. And so when she exposed what it was, and I was happy, I was like, you know what, you're doing God's work because you're exposing, because now you're exposing all these things. Now I know what to watch out for. Because if you don't tell me all these things, I'm just gonna assume that you're all friends and you're all, and I'm gonna be looking at you like side eye, like why are you blocking all these people for? And because you're not telling me anything, But she told me that, Mom, I'm so happy that I have you as a mom because you like you talking about narcissism and stuff like made me more aware. So like when he was doing all that stuff and everything, I was like, wait a minute, that's manipulation. Like I knew because I've heard you say those terms and I've heard you put out videos on it and I've heard you watch videos on it and I've heard you play those videos in the car, and in the house and stuff. So I'm aware about this stuff. So like when he was doing all that stuff, like it's like I was able to discern that this is exactly what it was. And now I'm actually happy that he didn't pick me because I wouldn't want anybody doing that to me. Like it was almost like she is like she fell into my trap, the trap that was set for me, because I mean I can imagine like him doing all that stuff to me, like even as a friend, like it was sad like that he was doing all that to my friend. And she's like, I had to block her, and that's why I was asking you, like, can you heal in the same place that you're broken? Because it's like I forgive her, but I feel like I have to set boundaries against her, like because and him, because I don't want it, because the fact that she was so quick to jump to him, and it was just, and she has apologized to me, but it's just like I can't trust her the same, and I'm like, and that's okay, that's okay, you don't have to reconcile if you don't want to, but you forgive so that you can release them from your heart so that you're not in bondage. But you set those boundaries so that you can protect yourself, because God does not expect us to be foolish, right? We're supposed to be as wise as a serpent. So she was like, and to me, that to me was like, it made me feel so much better because it's like you feel like as a parent, like you want to protect your kids, and you can't protect them from everything, but at least you can expose the truth so that when they see the darkness, and you can expose that darkness so that they know it. They know it. I talk about narcissism all the time. I put out they see me put out videos, they see me talk about it, and even it got to the point that they were like tired of it, but now that it's happening to her, she's able to learn and she's able to know what not to do, and what to look out for, and that's what we should do as parents. And more importantly than just being parents, as a child of God, God is God pulled us out of Egypt, out of bondage, so that we can expose darkness and free somebody else. So because of my obedience to God, I was able to let her be free. So I give God glory to God for that, and for allowing her to open up her mouth and expose darkness, so somebody else can learn from it. So you know now I know it's in the church, it's everywhere, and we are called to separate the tares from the wheat from the tares, and that's exactly what we're doing, exposing darkness, because they have nowhere to hide when you shine the darkness. And when you shine the light on the darkness, right, expose the darkness. So I'm going to end the video here. Make sure you like the video, to share it to more people. Leave your comments, guys. Please leave your comments, so that we can know that we're not alone in this thing. Subscribe if you're new to get notified when I post. And guys, I kept trying to put out this is like the fifth time, fourth or fifth time I put out this video. At first, my storage was storage, and then I fixed the storage issue. Then it became what else? Then it was my speaker that turned off. So the devil was trying so hard to not let me put out this video, but God gave me the victory, And so, by the way, also, I have the Our Father's Business is a new community on Skool, um, that you can go ahead and join, so that we can come together and expose darkness, and just be around other people that are going through the same thing, so that we can encourage and uplift each other, and expose darkness, more importantly. So go ahead and join. It's only $9 a month. Um, and Yeah, I mean, God is doing great things. So till next time, guys. Peace.